Good morning, everyone. Welcome to ExperiencesConnect 2023. I hope you have a coffee in your hand. I hope wherever you are, we are super excited to have you join us here today. Today we have a packed agenda prepared here for you today. We are broadcasting here, at least I am, live from Berlin, but throughout the day we are being joined by a variety of great guest speakers here today. So super looking forward. So while you're grabbing that coffee, while you're setting everything up, want to get everything started here, without further ado, it's my honor to start off this ExperiencesConnect 2023 here today. What do we have prepared for you today? So ExperiencesConnect 2023, after the great success of the initial format last year, is all around how can you operate successfully as operator of an attraction, a tour, an activity in the age of connectivity. So this is what we want to bring today. We want to bring you impulses, we want to bring you insights, and we want to give you actionable content so that you can use your laptop, your computer right now. You can take some notes, you can apply those learnings directly, or you take away some inspiration, some insights, how the market evolves, how our other operators are operating this. So this is what we have prepared for you today. What's the difference of this format versus a YouTube video? You can interact here. You can interact with me as speaker, but all the speakers we have throughout the day, you can interact with those. It's very easy. We have a chat, which is there to the left side of the screen. And on this hand, you find the chat. I would love to hear, where are you coming from today? Where are you based today? From where are you tuning in? Say a quick hello in the chat, and looking forward to see and welcome you all today. Before we start with this first session of the day, I want to give you a bit of an overview what awaits you throughout the entire day. So who is I? I'm Lucas, CEO and founder of bookingkit. Today is not about bookingkit, so we are a booking software, as you might know, but today is about giving you insights, experiences on what drives us in 2023, what can help you as an operator in 2023. It's all about that. This is not about us doing a booking system. So what awaits you today? Together with the team, we have crafted a great day packed with events. We're going to start right now after this intro with the outlook for 2023. And I'm honored to be joined by two great guys from Arival, Douglas from Arival, CEO and founder from Arival, and Alex from Swarovski, who's going to give us insights into what they think 2023 has for us. Then after each session, we have a short break, so you can refill your coffee, refill your water, get a short break from the screen, and then at the full hour, we start back in. At 11, it's about last minute forever. How is the customer actually going to develop? How is the customer of Tours and Activities product changing? And for that, Douglas from Arival is hosting the session. We are being joined by a guest from TUI Amusement, and I'm there as well. So this is what awaits you at 11. At 12, we want to make it actionable. We bring hidden revenues for US operators. How can you unlock those hidden revenues? And it's a session hosted by us together with Viator. So I'm super happy to share some insights there as well. This is at 12. And then at 1 p.m., we talk about the perfect customer journey together with the VDFU and Go City, which is a great session we also have there over the noontime. And this is not all, it continues throughout the day. So at 2 p.m., we have Google and 1 hour interview session about Google things to do, what's new, how they see the market, and what's their development, their plans going forward. Then at 3 p.m., we have the DMO perspective. For that, we are super proud to have a guest from Georgia here and ITB Berlin. So it's all about how can you work with your local DMO, how are DMOs helping operators of tours and activities? So that's what we're going to share there. And then we have a great closing session in the fast lane at 4 p.m. is the tours activities industry becoming the leading travel industry together with speakers from Groupon and Tickets. So super happy to kick off this day with you today. Again, this is a truly interactive format. So it's not about just us presenting and telling you something. It's about giving you context and allowing you to interact with that context. So the entire day is an interactive day. And with that, we start this welcome session, the first session of Experiences Connect 2023. I'm Lucas, your moderator for this session, and I'm being joined by Douglas, who's co-founder and CEO of Arival, and Alex, who is leading Store Solutions IT at Swarovski. So both of us will be joining us, already have joined us in the background here. And I think if you just said, hey from Dubai, if you just said hello from Frankfurt, and the biggest cup of coffee is owned to Douglas, who joins us from the US. So I think it's something like 3 or 4 a.m. for him there. So even more thank you for joining us here today. With that, we dive right in to set the stage a bit. We have a quick welcome by bookingkit. Then I hand it over to Douglas, who is going to give their outlook for 2023. Then I'm going to hand it over to Alex from Swarovski. And then we have an interactive Q&A format, which is, some of you already figured it out, there where you found the chat, there's also a Q&A format. So you can say, I have a question. And at the end, we'll compile all questions we have, and then we will moderate and adjust those questions, give those questions to different people here on the stage today. So you have the influence to have your question there. So if you have any questions throughout the day, please do not hesitate to go on this question, ask your question in the chat, and we will take it from there. And with that, we get it started. I'm Lucas, founder and CEO at bookingkit, and I hit you off for this first session, later joined by Douglas, co-founder and CEO at Arival, and Alex from Swarovski. So looking forward for the outlook, what's gonna happen in 2023. Before we start into that, we would love to hear from you. And live now in this chat tool, we have also found the chat now. There is going to be a poll. We would love to understand what types of experiences do you offer. So you as an operator, what kind of experience are you actually offering? So this is what you can now offer a click on in the interaction thing. We see the first votes coming in already. So a lot of different types of activities. I see a lot of guided tours. I promise Douglas is also going to share great news about guided tours. I see some attractions here. I see some DMO organizations. Looking forward to have you already here. And some from the other compartments. Thank you so much for being here. And now let's kick it off and go through this. I'll hit with a quick intro. You know, we are one of Europe's leading booking systems. So we have a lot of data insights into the data of our customers. And this gives us 3 indicators when we look at 2023. And those are the 3 facts I want to leave you with before we hit it off and then give it over to Douglas from Arival. First out of 3. Resellers are finally here. I think for years we have been talking about online resellers, but what we saw in amount of data and reseller bookings in 2022 exceeds all expectations. So we saw a 200% increase in reseller bookings from summer season 22 to summer season 21. So now 22 was really the year where the amount of reseller bookings went through the roof. This is a trend we see staying. So if you don't have a dedicated reseller strategy yet as operator, 2023 should be the year where you make that strategy, where you make up your mind, okay, how am I actually working with resellers? How is my sales strategy from direct to reseller strategies? We saw it in 2022. Fueled by COVID effects, and this is a trend here to stay. So we continue to see reseller bookings rising very, very much. So the first out of 3 things to watch out for in 2023 is reseller bookings. Second out of 3 is China is back on the map. I think in 2022, we talked a lot about where revenge travel. My favorite word of 2022 was revenge travel. Yeah, all of us confined due to lockdowns, restrictions, and then we wanted to travel again. I had a conversation with an investor, asked me, okay, are people really wanting to travel again, or will they just stop traveling? We see it right now. We saw it last year. People are super eager to go out there, to travel again and actually go out, have that experience again. And same applies then also to the attractions, the tours, the activity products all of us offer together. And this, what happened for the US and Europe last year, is right now happening for China. So we see that the revenge travel is happening right now. You know, December, January, the restrictions were lifted. Chinese tourists are already seen now. And as you know, for China, Europe is the most important destination market beside China itself. So we'll see finally those Chinese and a bit broader Asian tourists coming back to Europe again. So this is something definitely to watch out in 2023 to make it actionable for you if you're thinking about, okay, is my product ready for Chinese, for Asian travelers? And also my marketing mix, yeah, is that ready for Chinese, for Asian travelers? Because just keep in mind, most of them are not allowed to use Google, are not using Google, completely different distribution channels, completely different resellers. So bear that in mind when you think about your 2023 strategy. Second out of three, China's revenge travel. And this leaves us to the third one, what we are currently seeing. The consolidation is on. Yes, we have a return market. The market is booming right now. We have great expectations for 2023. And we also saw through COVID a lot of acquisitions, a lot of mergers. We just have a couple of deals here on the slide to give you some indication, but this went across all fields. This went through operators acquiring other operators or merging together. This went through actually tech providers acquiring each other, merging together, or all kinds of stuff. And we expect the same to happen both on the reseller space, OTA space, but also on the operator space in 2023. So those are the three things from a booking kit perspective we are looking forward in 2023. And that's the three things we want to think you about when you think about your strategy in 2023, which is resellers are there to stay. Chinese revenge travel, so Chinese tourists are back again, although they have been away for quite some time, and we'll see continued consolidation in the market. So that's our expectation with 2023. So this was our viewpoint on how is 2023 going to be. With that, I now invite to our virtual stage Douglas, CEO and co-founder of Arival, who's going to show us their view of 2023. With that, hello Douglas, thanks for standing up early and being with us here today.
Hey Lucas, thank you very much. Hi everyone, welcome. Good morning or good afternoon wherever you are. Yeah, I'm dialing in from Atlanta. It's a little after 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm on my my second cup of coffee here. I know that best practice, we always say in a virtual event is, not to drink any coffee or anything while you're actually presenting, but I'm just going to break that rule really quickly. Hope you all don't mind, and we're going to dive right in. Okay, so we're going to cover over the next 15 to 20 minutes. I know, Lucas, you had kind of three key trends that you're seeing from a booking kit perspective. For me, I want to touch on 5 trends. I have to admit they're not all trends. Some are just some themes or are more kind of hot topics that I feel, okay, I just got to touch on. Really important for 2023. So trends or themes or hot topics for 2023 that I want to go through to kick things off for Experiences Connect here with all of you this morning. So kind of first, number one, it's in the news every single day. It certainly is here in the US, and a lot of discussion about this across Europe and elsewhere. I mean, will there be a recession, and what does it mean for travel? I mean, we've been all dealing with this over the past, say, 6 to 12 months, especially with regard to inflation and a lot of the geopolitical things that are kind of going on around the world. I think we're all very familiar with that and what that means for our businesses and the outlook, and also for consumers and their willingness to spend on the stuff that you do, which is, we have to be, realistic. It's this is a discretionary spend, right? This is not a necessity, the things that you offer. So where does that fit in the priority for travelers and consumers in general? in 2023. So, first, just one thing I'll highlight. This is just looking at the U.S. market, but the themes are similar for Europe as well. That looking at this historically, 2023 and all of the talk about a recession, this is the most anticipated recession of all time, at least since this has been tracked by the Federal Reserve here in the U.S. That economists broadly and forecasters expect there to be a recession as we now into 2023, far more so than in 2008, for example, during the Great Recession that swept through the United States, and then Europe a little bit later. So really kind of really interesting. So much discussion or anticipation about it. I think as the kind of sentiment shifts in the market almost on a day-to-day basis, recent news coming out of Europe as well as the U.S. suggests that, okay, maybe it's going to be, if there is one, it's going to be relatively soft. So what does that mean for travel in particular, and the outlook and the intent among travelers to kind of spend and to do tours and experiences in 2023? So this is something we've been looking at very closely in our research, and we're also encouraged to see that the findings that we have are very consistent with other travel industry kind of forecasters and researchers as well, such as tourism economics, for example, and a few others. So basically, here's our view of travelers and their travel intent heading into 2023, and this is an aggregate of survey that we had conducted in partnership with Focusrite late last year, looking at 4,000 travelers in total, 3,000 across Europe and 1,000 in the US. And overall, this is actually fairly positive, right? So you can see here about 30% say they're planning to travel more. Nearly half say there's basically no change. They're going to travel about the same. And only 20% say they're going to take fewer trips. And we asked this across a whole range of things, like how much you're going to spend, specifically around how much you're going to spend and how many activities or tours you're going to experience. And the results were pretty consistent. However, I want to dive in a little bit more closely and actually break this down by the relative affluence of the respondent or the annual household income, because here there's something really important, and we're going to come back to this over the course of my presentation today, and really as we talk about consumers over the course of the day in general. So where we see that pullback, those travelers who are a bit more concerned about the future, that really is with that lower income segment. So you can see on the left there with those household income, those lower earners, so less than 75,000 USD, but this is very consistent across Europe as well in the US. Those are the folks that are a bit more concerned, a bit more affected by what's been happening in the economy and with inflation, whereas those upper earners, and in particular the highest earners of 150K or greater, those are the ones that are really leading in, planning to travel a bit more. So I really think about this as, and this is something we've heard quite a bit of a kind of a bifurcated or segmented consumer market, where you have those upper income, those higher earners that are really not very affected by what's been happening in the economy and inflation in particular, and especially coming out of COVID, really intent on travel and prioritizing travel. So what does this mean for operators? So, first, really think about leaning into that affluent traveler and offering, where possible, upscale experiences, and also charging a bit more for them. There's an opportunity across our industry to yield up and to, around your experiences, offer a bit more. We really see travelers coming out of the craziness of the last 2.5 to 3 years, where, okay, maybe overall they're still not taking as many trips as they were pre-pandemic, not doing as many things as they were pre-pandemic, but when they are really going for it, because it's been so long since they've really had to travel, take those trips, and see all the people they wanted to see. So when they're doing it, they're really going for it, and they want to make the most of those experiences. Around that, there's another broad and really key theme for experiences and that experiences traveler that I think is really important and encouraging, which is, in general, we're seeing that travelers are placing a much greater priority on, well, experiences, the things that you offer, versus purchasing kind of physical goods, right? In other words, going out and having that experience with friends and family, as opposed to, buying the color TV. That's really where they are placing their priorities, heading out of 2022 and heading into 2023. And even more importantly, for those upper income earners, and in particular for that younger traveler set. So basically Gen Z and millennial travelers, really much more focused on experiences over things, just as an attitude, as a kind of a perception, like where they are prioritizing kind of their budget heading into 2023. So a really important opportunity for experience operators. But again, tying into, what we're seeing in terms of that bifurcated, consumer market, really thinking about, it's not just about getting that cheapest ticket, that discount, but they want the most out of that experience. So what are some additional things that you can layer into what you do to really appeal to that traveler? They want to make the most of that tour or that experience. Now, next, heading into 2023, what do travelers want? What are they booking? What kinds of experiences are they looking for? So historically, we've been, tracking trends within tours, activities, and attractions. Well, I've been kind of personally for I think 12 or 13 years covering this sector, but especially at Arival over the last 5 or 6 years. And what we've always seen historically, it's the big classic attractions, the great sites that always drive visitor volume, in particular to a destination, always number one. But we've really seen a bit of a shift coming out of the pandemic. So yes, these are still important, but really a bit more of a shift from not just seeing the greatest sites, but actually having more of a personal or intimate experience around that incredible attraction or museum. So it's not just that they want to get that ticket and see it, but they're going to go for it and make the most of it, maybe have a small group or personal tour or experience. Again, really about making the most of that trip. We also saw, and I'm sure you have heard this quite a bit when you attended ExperiencesConnect last year, or from the work that we've done as well, there was a huge lift for outdoor and adventure activities, certainly during the pandemic, for reasons I think we're all familiar with. But we've seen that continue coming out of the pandemic throughout 2022 and heading into 2023 as well. The outdoor adventure activity sector of our industry really grew substantially over the past 2 to 3 years, and we see that continuing heading in to next year as well. So here's just a view of our research from 2019 of what historically travelers preferred in terms of the macro categories of tours, activities, and attractions. We in our research, actually, we look at dozens and dozens of categories. Here I'm just showing some of the top drivers, and this is like pretty consistent, historical, cultural sites and attractions like the great sites, natural attractions, then guided tours, parks, and outdoor, 5 of the biggest kind of macro categories within our industry. But what are we seeing in 2022 and then heading into next year? Well, a really big shift. So again, it's not that the great sites aren't important. They certainly are. They continue to be big drivers for destinations and for experiences, but it's, again, not just getting that cheapest ticket, but it's really about having that unique experience around that attraction and experiencing it with the people that are really important to you. And something that we advise in particular to visitor attractions Okay, you've thinking about how can you add, say, additional types of private tours or VIP experiences, or are you partnering with local tour operators? Because increasingly we see travelers don't just want to see the site, but they want to see it as part of a bigger experience as well. Outdoor adventure, as you can see on the right, really getting a nice lift. A little bit of a drop off in amusement parks, and that's really driven in particular by European travelers who are, again, doing a bit more of that guided tour experience and outdoor experiences as we head into 2023 season. So again, focus on small group and exceptional experiences with cross sells and upsells. Travelers really want to make the most of that tour and experience for their trip. Okay, and also wanted to highlight quickly, just as we think about kind of their tours and experiences, what are they really looking for? Some really big themes. What are they prioritizing? So it is still the sites, right? So we go a little bit deeper and look at what travelers are prioritizing on tours. Yes, they still want to see the great sites. So sightseeing tours are a top priority, but again, it's through the tour as opposed to just buying that cheapest ticket. Shopping is always huge. It's within travel, really big theme, but again, in particular, keeping it local, connecting travelers to local shops, artisans, experiences, incredibly important, especially for that younger traveler set, Gen Z and kind of millennial traveler. Also, in general, connecting with locals and creating these kind of really authentic, intimate experiences. This is something that we've been tracking very closely since Airbnb really splashed onto the scene of tours and experiences with Airbnb experiences back in, I think it was 2016. So almost 9 years ago. It's pretty amazing where they really kind of shifted a bit of the industry conversation around tours and activities. But it's something that we've been tracking each year, and the demand for this type of experiences has grown quite significantly over the past several years. So really important for travelers. Of course, food, always really important. And by the way, it doesn't mean you have to launch a food tour or be a food tour operator. But even if just with a regular tour or some type of general sightseeing tour or activity or experience, there's a way that you can layer in some kind of special, some type of special kind of treat or something, or some culinary, component. There's really no better way to connect people with a local culture or place by incorporating something that they can smell and touch and taste. Incredibly important for experience. And then, of course, that incredible photo op, especially for that Gen Z, Instagram generation, incredibly important. Okay, theme trend number 3, discovery and search. So we're thinking about really the path to purchase, how travelers find and book your amazing things to do. And we'll start with that discovery process. So how do travelers even begin to find things? Now, this is something that I'm not going to actually go through all of the different kind of channels or ways in which travelers are finding things to do. The main thing I wanted to highlight here is how many different channels there are, and the fact that there's not really a huge difference. Okay, friends and family and online search is kind of on top, but not a big difference between that and all of these other channels listed below, both online and offline. And there's a couple of things here. One, this means that, look, travelers are looking everywhere to find things to do and to get advice and guidance on that. And that's because how you spend your time on a trip and how you spend it with the people that are important to you is a very important decision in some ways. And we see it's a more difficult decision than choosing what flight to take or what hotel or accommodation to stay in. There are a lot more factors to consider. So travelers will look for information across many more sources, typically, than other travel components. And what this means for you, of course, is, it means that marketing doesn't get any easier as we head into 2023. Actually, there's more channels that you need to be in than ever before. and there's really no way around it. But we have to be online, you have to be offline, you have to, in particular, do everything you can to foster great word of mouth among your existing guests and have them connect with their friends and family offline, as well as to leave online reviews and be advocates for your experiences online as well. Yeah, so the key takeaway, I'm afraid, marketing and all the channels you have to contend with is not going to get any easier. You have to be getting your message out across as many channels as you possibly can. One of the most important channels heading into 2023 season, of course, is social media. We all know how important that is, but I want to highlight here in particular, if you look at the third channel here from the top, TikTok, what's interesting is it's basically now number 3. It has surpassed Twitter, and this is again for that cohort of US and European travelers, especially for that younger generation of 18 to 34-year-olds. Our prediction, by next year, TikTok is going to surpass Facebook as the number 2 channel for discovery of tours and experiences to do. It's really about that kind of short form video and that opportunity for travelers to really see what that experience is like. So if you're not on TikTok or on Instagram Reels or experimenting with YouTube Shorts, for example, YouTube Shorts is basically their attempt to copy TikTok. So have a look at that as well. But if you are not getting involved and really watching these channels, then you absolutely need to be. And I can tell you, by the way, like, don't just take my advice. I realize I'm just one guy, a researcher within this industry, for example, but just see what's happening more broadly. There's been quite a bit of kind of news about this. Google has been dramatically revamping its mobile search experience because they're seeing a really big shift as more and more, in particular, younger travelers and Gen Z, they are turning increasingly, not to Google and Google Maps to find local places to eat and things to do, but they're turning to Instagram, they're turning to TikTok, Amazon as well. By the way, if you saw the news late last year, Amazon has launched a beta kind of TikTok style video feed within their app as a shopping discovery experience as well. So there's a really big shift that's taking place here. And there's an extraordinary article in the New York Times from last fall where they interviewed Gen Z consumers on why they were turning towards, say, Instagram and TikTok, as opposed to kind of Google reviews and Google Maps to find places to eat and things to do. And here are a couple of quotes. One, you can see how the person actually felt, right? So rather than reading, a review or looking at the menu, they're actually seeing a young person like themselves in the restaurant, having the experience. They're seeing that emotional reaction and they're thinking, oh, I want to have an experience like that. I want to be in that kind of environment. And another quote, one of my favorites and quite striking, is, I rarely see something that requires that much thought, right? So that's just a comparison of looking for a place to eat on TikTok, let's say, versus writing a full or reading a full Google review and profile. We see this in the younger generation. It's not necessarily a positive thing, but they're reading a lot less. I see it among young people today. I see it among my teenagers, reading a lot less, a lot more time on social and video and building that connection through that short, video. That's just how the trend is, whether we like it or not. So I strongly encourage you, if you're not doing this already, to start experimenting with this kind of content, with these channels as well. And if you're not sure where to start, just start by first getting on these platforms and experiencing it as a consumer, and even think about hiring, a Gen Z intern to help you experiment and create some content and build some community and learn from them and observe how they're engaging with this content. This will be incredibly important for discovery and distribution as we head into 2023 and for several years to come. Okay. Theme or trend number 4, the path to purchase. A couple of really big themes here to touch on. It should all be well known to all of you, but a really big shift to digital channels. We heard this a little bit from Lucas with the rise of resellers, but broadly over the past 3 to 4 years, massive shift toward mobile booking. As you can see here, mobile now for tour booking in the US is the biggest channel, followed by desktop, and a bit of a drop off for direct offline channels, as well as third-party channels like travel agents, hotels, and concierges. It's definitely a trend that is going to only continue after that really big acceleration during the pandemic. And here we're just looking at this from kind of the average kind of split of channels for what tour and activity operators are telling us. So a real jump in direct website bookings and OTAs, and a bit of a drop off in offline indirect channels and offline direct channels like calling you or walking into your ticket office. And then in particular, working with OTAs, we heard a bit about this from Lucas earlier. So when you think about working with OTAs, what are they prioritizing? Well, this is what we're seeing from consumers. Number one, last minute booking. We're seeing that booking window contract quite a bit, getting a lot shorter, closer into departure or the experience of the tour. We'll talk more about this in the next session. I'm at 11, is it 11 a.m., right? I got the hours right. European time. And what does that mean? But online travel agencies will prioritize those tours that offer that closest to departure, last minute booking availability. Number two, flexible cancellation. I know this is a challenge for a number of operators, especially if you run food tours or some adventure activities, often where you've got your own suppliers where their cancellation conditions may not be as flexible as what the OTAs are asking for. But again, this is something OTAs are prioritizing. And then also API connectivity, that is direct system to system connectivity. So whether you're using bookingkit or another booking system, you really, if you are not using that API connectivity between your booking system and your OTA partners, really think about doing that and looking at it very, closely. This is something that we see online travel agencies prioritizing in order to streamline, their operations, especially coming out of the pandemic, as all of us are having to do quite a bit more still with a bit less as well. So again, the key takeaways here: prioritize online and mobile channels and automate your connectivity. And kind of my last big theme or kind of trend for 2023, where I'm going to squeeze two into one really quickly. First is, dynamic pricing, not very common at all within tours and activities. And of course, dynamic pricing is basically what we all experience booking flights and hotels, where, we're sitting next to somebody on the flight who paid $150 when we paid $300 or $400. And like, how the heck did that happen? Same thing for hotels. But this is basically where a supplier like yourself, you can change the price or charge more based on a variety of factors like when they're booking, how far off the departure is, or other conditions like weather or whatever may be happening. Still very early stages. However, we're seeing a lot of interest in this among the operator community and also among attractions as well. And again, as we think about that shift to consumers where certain consumer segments are willing to pay more for a little bit more, there are some opportunities, especially for medium to large operators and attractions, to think about, dynamic pricing to encourage travelers, maybe offer discounts for tours or experiences that are a little bit less popular, and also an opportunity for you to charge a bit more during those really high demand or peak periods, and to generate a little bit more profit as well for your business. So something to be paying attention to, and we're seeing more and more booking systems and more technology providers offering this kind of capability for tour and activity operators today. And then the last thing I want to touch on, this has been, I think, one of the hottest topics in general, not just in technology circles, but I mean, just general kind of consumer business media, which is, the explosion onto our world over the past 3 months or so of ChatGPT, which is this extraordinary new application from OpenAI, which has suddenly made AI for, I think, all of us, which historically has been so a little bit like theoretical, right? Like kind of out there in the distance, but suddenly we have this incredible application. We can see how it works. We can see how extraordinary it is. I'm sure you've seen the news about how this application has passed law school exams and business school exams. Actually, I can tell you, I can admit, one of my teenagers is getting some help writing some of his high school papers using ChatGPT. Please, no one tell the school where he goes, but this is a big issue. This is coming at us from a lot of different directions. Something to look at really closely, things like potential applications for your product descriptions, for your marketing copy, for your customer service chatbots, for some of your internal documentation. This has just exploded onto the scene. Pay attention if you haven't, and there's lots out there to read about. We will be covering a lot of these themes and also some sessions on ChatGPT and generative AI at Arival in Berlin in just about a month. So just a taste of some of the really big themes that will be driving a lot within our industry in the year ahead. So with that, I'll bring things to a close for my trends and themes and hand things back to you, Lucas.
Thanks, Douglas. So inspiring to hear from you every time. Thanks so much for walking us through that. And thanks again for making it so actionable also for an operator. So I've already seen great comments in the chat, great questions, and we're gonna close this session with a Q&A format. But before we do so, I want to hand it over to Alex, who is joining us from Swarovski. He's gonna share their view on 2023 because we did not want to leave you just with like booking systems view. And Douglas as research in the industry space, like their top level view, but we also wanted to hear from an operator. And this is why we are super happy to have Swarovski's view here in 2023. And with that, Alex is going to join us, who is from Swarovski. He's heading their store solutions, which also includes the Swarovski Kristallwelten. And so I'm super glad to have him here today. In the chat, we already saw some questions in regards to recordings. So the short answer is yes, all the more general sessions are going to be recorded. Some sessions have so special announcement, we cannot publish them, which relates to the Google session. So you should join this one live. I'm kidding about the announcement. I cannot tell you here today, but every session but the Google session will be available as recording afterwards. It will take a couple of days, so expect 1 to 2 weeks, and then you can share all the great content with your colleagues and so on, and have it there. And with that, I think Alex is just loading his video connectivity. We'll see how he comes there.
It's loading, but I can start meanwhile. Not sure why it's not showing the
Go
screen.
Ahead,
but
Alex.
I will go ahead. Yeah. Also, big welcome from my side. My name is Alex. I'm working for Swarovski. I'm in the Austrian time zone, so I already had my coffee as well, and I love the energy from Douglas, to be honest. So I'm trying to compete with that. And I know what it means to have a coffee at 4 a.m. I have a newborn, so I know how it is being up so early. Yes, I will give you some slides on our experience, the crystal words in Austria, and then I will continue with one slide about our integration. So I'm from IT, so I have to show you also how we integrated the solution we have today, and also a quick overview on the challenges we faced before the integration, and also how we see 2023. So starting with the introduction, I'm talking today about our experiences in the Swarovski tourism area. What you can see here is the big giant. This is our entrance to the museum. We call it the ultimate cultural powerhouse experience, and we see ourselves as an international destination. Yeah. Continuing with that, we offer in our crystal words an experience which merges retail, art, culture, and events. That means We have a store, of course, where you can experience our products, where you can experience our collection. We have many chambers of wonders where you can experience art and culture. And we're also offering events. So just to give you an example, during the summertime, we also have a collaboration with Cirque du Soleil, and we also have yoga sessions in our outdoor areas. So there are lots of events we're also offering. And as Douglas mentioned, food is important. So we also have a restaurant in our location. And it's not just our location in Wattens, which is the headquarter of Swarovski, and having the crystal worlds there. We also have two flagship stores, one in Innsbruck and one in Vienna, where we offer also VIP experiences, store tour, and also we have a kind of heritage area in the store. So you can also experience a slight similar experience in those two stores. Yes, it's normal that my Swarovski camera, that the camera is not loading. I'm not sure why. It seems the browser is not allowing the camera anymore, and I'm sorry for that. Some facts and figures. The crystal worlds were founded in 1995 to mark the company's 100th anniversary. And we're talking about 50 million visitors since then. And yes, we are international. We have 60 nations visiting us. It's 7.5 hectares, enjoying art, culture, shopping, and the crystal lifestyle. It's also indoor experience and also outdoor experience. And talking about the indoor experience, we have 17 chambers of wonder, and those were created by famous artists and designers. And we are regularly changing those chambers. That's it about the location itself, about the experiences. Now continuing with the setup integration. So we are using bookingkit, as you may know. We are offering our experiences on our website, thecrystalwelten.com, using a widget integration. We're also using the resource management to control the capacity. We integrated also electronic gift cards. Access control is fully integrated with our turnstiles, and it's also possible, of course, to purchase tickets on site. And as we have learned today, OTAs are also very important for us. So we have various platforms enabled: Google Things to Do, Headout, Get Your Guide, Viator, and so far and so forth. So we see also the trend here that more and more bookings are coming through the resellers. Also, bookingkit Reach is used. It's still quite relevant in the area to book the tickets at the hotel concierge service. So we are also offering this to our customers. And we also have a special tool developed so where we can do large bookings and group bookings, because we're still offering also tours with larger groups of people in our museum. Few notes on the challenges we faced and how we see 2023. Thinking about past challenges, to be honest, when I think back on 2019, we had no ticket shop integration. That means we were offering online tickets, but those had to be picked up at point of sale. So it was not a really nice experience. We had almost or close to zero OTO integrations, and this ended up in large queues at point of sale. So this was really a bottleneck, and people were sometimes during high season waiting for 2 hours to get a ticket. So really had to do something, and that's why we started all this integration approach. What are our plans for this year, 2023? Yeah, we want to go back to 500K visitors, yearly visitors, and we're focusing also more and more on the Asia Pacific market again. As you know, COVID stopped international traveling, and our market for the last 2 years was more in Europe. But now we want to push Asian OTA integrations, and as a result of that, we are also looking into better and also offering more mobile payment options for for Asia Pacific, thinking about WeChat Pay, Alipay, so that it's offering a seamless experience for our APAC visitors when they are visiting us. Big topic is also dynamic pricing. As we have seen from Douglas, this is also important to us. That means we have already an early bird ticket with a lower price point, but we want to push it to the next level, thinking of changing the prices according to weather situation or capacity. So if the museum is fully booked, then if it's high season, to have different pricing. So this is really a topic we would like to investigate. And also more flexible. That means we have seen that in our case, if you're visiting us, you need to select the date when you're going to visit us. And in this sense, we have seen that many travelers through Europe are not sure when they are in Austria, when they are not sure when they are trying to visit us. So, so we want to offer kind of a flexible ticket that they can select a month or a week or something similar. And we're going more and more international. So there's a new flagship store planned. This is a preview out of Europe, also with the experiences and tours is in planning. I'm not allowed to tell you the location, but you will hear soon, I guess. And that's the closing statement of the crystal words, I would say. This is the Chandelier of Grief by Yayoi Kusuma. This is one chamber in the crystal words. And yeah, I'm closing my session now and handing back to Lucas.
And there was one question, Douglas, in regards to dynamic pricing. Do you have an example in mind? If I, as an operator, want to get some inspiration, is there any operator I should look to? They do it great.
Well, I think there's so many different ways to kind of think about it. I would say really, rather than say looking at a specific operator first, is to just do some baseline reading and to really familiarize yourself. So actually, when we think about pricing, there's basically three different types. You have static pricing, which is simply, okay, it's the same price, same, regardless of whether it's Saturday or Tuesday, whether it's January or July. And then you have variable pricing, which you could say is kind of like a precursor to dynamic pricing. And maybe a lot of you are doing this already, where you're going to charge X on on Saturday at 3 o'clock, but maybe it's a bit off for the Monday 9 a.m. Departure. So, and then of course you have full-on dynamic pricing, where the pricing is changing almost on a day-to-day basis, or based on your expectations for kind of demand or kind of weather or other kind of circumstances that may come into play. So I would say, like in general, first, look at visitor attractions, which have really stepped into things like timed entry over the past couple of years, and look at how they might charge different prices for different times of day or different days of the week, and think about what they're doing there as well. And also, it's important to think about this not just in terms of okay, making more money, which I know we all want to do, and growth. I mean, that's important, right? So that's big. But also think about this as well in terms of the guest experience, right? There was a really great example of the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, where actually pre-pandemic, they had already made some really big shifts in how they handled distribution and pricing and ticketing, simply because they would get overwhelmed on, say, weekend afternoons and certain weekdays. And it became a really bad experience for tourists who were all clamoring at the same time. And so they used an adjusted distribution and pricing strategy to try to distribute their guests across their visitation. We ourselves at Arival Berlin, we've got an extensive in-depth presentation from the MoCo Museum, which is a new for-profit museum with locations in Amsterdam and also in, I think it's Barcelona as well. And they're really going to lift up the kimono and walk through all of the things that they're doing to generate a bit more revenue and frankly get the most out of their guests.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And also, you just mentioned pricing. We have a session coming up at 11, which is dedicated to hidden revenues and pricing, which contains a sneak peek of the pricing presentation we're going to have in Berlin at Arival. So all of that we got you covered today, and we have the sneak peek for the Arival event in Berlin. With that, I promised you have enough time to grab a coffee in between the sessions. So we're going to go in a quick break. And we're going to see you back here at 11, and we're going to check on the customer's perspective. How does the customer change? How is your experience with the end customer? It's going to be moderated by Douglas. We have a guest from TUI Amusement. I'm going to be there. So see you back in 4 minutes. Bye-bye.